Hi, welcome back to Charmed Life Therapy. My name is Anne-Marie Cassidy and I have a rapid transformational therapy practice called Charmed Life Therapy, where I also do several other methods of hypnotherapy too, all designed to transform your life. So if you're interested in the content here on this channel, please do consider subscribing and hit that like button if you can. I am a solopreneur, so any little bit of help is always vastly appreciated. And I was just going to talk to you today about self-esteem because it's something that I deal with a lot in my work. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more and share a personal story too. Because one of the main things about self-esteem, and self-esteem is different than confidence. Confidence is more about something that you're doing. It's something that you feel that you're confident at doing. So you might be confident at work because you know what you're doing. You might be confident in a particular talent that you have. It's something that you can really do well. So you appear confident, if you like, when you're doing that thing. But you can have confidence and have very little self-esteem or very low self-esteem. You've only to look at actors and actresses, as we know, and comedians as well, you know, who portray one thing and they're completely another. But self-esteem, kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about today was how we walk around and navigate in this earth assuming so much about other people and about how much they're judging us, and we're walking around judging them too. And the story I was going to share was a few years back when I just started a new job and I was working on a reception desk. And it was a big manufacturing site and there was just me there in this big open plan reception. Security was separated behind me. They couldn't see me except on the camera, and I was on the switchboard too. So it's kind of a lot of responsibility for somebody with not a huge job history, you know what I mean? And the thing is, they used to be like the cleaners would come through several times a day, and it was quite a different ethnic group, if you like. There was somebody from all kinds of ethnicities within that cleaning group. And, you know, you would say hello in passing because they'd have to walk past you to get on with the jobs and things. But I noticed one or two of them were a little bit cool with me. And, you know, you start immediately thinking, what's wrong with me? Don't you kind of think, why don't they like me? Why aren't they saying hello? What is it about me? You know, and you start getting a little bit cold then towards them because you're not expecting to be validated back from them. And what happened was, a little way down the line, when there was a staff Christmas party coming up, the security manager called over one of these cleaning ladies and said, oh, she'll tell you what you're supposed to wear and what people do and blah, 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 and all the ins and outs. So kind of this poor lady was forced to talk to me in a way. But from that stemmed these most wonderful friendships, because once they realised who I was, and that I wasn't this posh, austere, a person that was above them, which is kind of the impression that they'd got of me. Once they realised that's not who I was at all, and that actually I was warm, friendly, inclusive, don't consider myself above other people, you know. Once they realised all of that, I was lucky enough to have all of these wonderful friendships come into my life. And because it was such an ethnically diverse group too, it meant I learned a lot and had my eyes opened, and it was really, really interesting thing, you know, very valuable to me. But you know what I mean, that, you know, that lady, what she kind of confessed to me was, you know, we're just, they'd not said anything bad about me, but just the way I looked, and when my face is relaxed, I think it can look quite stern, you know, we all have that resting bitch face, don't we? So they used to come through and see me a certain way, and you know, the previous girl to me had been quite a young girl who dressed quite funky, and I guess I come in and I look a bit more mature, maybe a bit more grown up, I don't know, wherever it is, maybe a bit more professional, and I don't mean that in a negative sense to the young girl, but just in a more classic sense of dressing, I guess, you know, in an older sense of dressing. So they'd assumed me a certain way, that I was posher, that I, you know, wouldn't want to interact with them being cleaners. They'd assume this, that and the other. And I was assuming too, and this is what we all do. We go around assuming so much. We assume people are going to consider us less than them. A friend of mine who I've been helping considerably with coaching, who comes from a very traumatic background and is almost like having to start over at 60. You know, she was coming to me and saying, you know, this program that I'm trying, the woman that's running it, she's so young, she's a quarter of my age, she speaks so posh, she seems to know so much, she's going to expect so much of me, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean that in an insulting way, but I do tend to be, you know, quite firm with my friend and quite tell her. But the thing is, all of that is a story. And this is what we're doing. We're inventing these stories in our head about what's going to happen when we have no idea. And literally, whenever we say to ourselves, I think, you have to remind yourself that whatever follows is something that you've made up. I think is something that you're choosing to believe from circumstances available to you at the time, with the knowledge that you have lumped in with all of your past experiences to make some kind of future prediction that does not exist. You know what I mean? And it's like I try to drive into people that I work with. You know, your vulnerability is your superpower, being authentic. If you're in a situation, whether it's a work-related one or being in some kind of new social situation, or maybe you've gone to a wedding and you sat with people you don't know and you're feeling, you know, oh, there's people won't want to talk to me because they're better dressed than me, you know, they've got more jewellery than me, whatever it is. The best thing you can do is open your mouth and show some vulnerability. So if it's a work or a course related thing, just say, you know, I've never done any, you know, pull somebody aside or get your opportunity and say, I've never done anything like this before. I don't know the technology. I don't know anything about Facebook. I'm a bit wary about being pushed too fast at going the speed that I can't cope with. I want to be able to do this thing, but I need to do it in a way that feels safe to me. Because as soon as you do that, and you show some vulnerability, or you compliment somebody, or just open yourself up to a dialogue, as soon as you do that, it diffuses a lot of that fear that you're feeling, that sense of separation. I mean, in my work, I do try to drive it into people all the time, this idea that we're not these separate beings, we're all in this together. We're supposed to be helping each other out. We are universally connected, we're all energy and all of that. And that's the thing, as soon as you do that, immediately it opens up a relationship and it opens up a dialogue. And people are usually glad of it too, because they're glad of somebody else saying, you know, this is going to be hard for me, because then it gives them a chance. Because it's like I was saying to my friend who's doing this artist program, you don't know how many times she's run this program, and every time she has to deal with new people that she's never met before, she's not sure what's going to arise from that. She's the one with the pressure on her because she's running it. She has to keep it all on track. She has to be responsible for the funding. She's got people she has to report to. You've no idea the pressures and stresses that she's under, and she'll probably be glad of somebody saying, you know, I'm not sure this is going to be easy for me. Can you kind of look out for me? And you know, because then that kind of gives other people an opportunity to share their vulnerabilities too and have somebody to lean on in return. And that's how you grow and develop as a person. I mean, the best thing you can do, one of the main problems for people that lack self-esteem is they don't open their mouths, and they don't say what's going on, and they don't say no when they mean no either, and that gets them into all kinds of bother and makes them end up doing things that they really wish they hadn't. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share, because the thing is, we all have our own map of the world, and it's based on all the things that have happened to us in the past, and we walk around in this world with all of that past knowledge, and we're trying to predict the future with it. So even when we're encountering new things, new situations, new people, we're dragging all of that information from the past and all the dangers that happened and all your failures and all of that. We very rarely access our successes when we're doing this. We think about all the failures and all the times we got hurt, and we use all of that to try and predict the future. And obviously it's often going to be a negative or scary outcome, or it's going to feel very, very hard, or a struggle, or whatever it is. That is what we do as human beings. And when we walk out into the world with that fearful thing, expecting people to be better than us, be better, think better, have better, achieve better, whatever it is, you see that reflected back to you. Your world is like a mirror of what's going on in your mind. And the thing is, your eyes and everything are like these biological things that are wired into us that look for danger. So if you're thinking danger, your eyes are looking for danger, and you will read people's body language differently, their expressions differently. You know, if somebody yawns, you'll think that was directed at you. If somebody has a bit of tummy ache and grimaces, you'll think that grimace was directed at you. Your eyes, your eyes will actually widen to take in more danger as well. So you'll see even more of it. Your eyes will be out on stalks looking for this danger that your mind is telling you is going to happen to you. And it's all a big story, in effect, based on all of that past experience that you've had. So that's why it's so important to really stay present. And it is work. It is work. It takes effort and practice. And it ties in with my work of being about rewiring your mind and rewiring your thoughts. And I use hypnotherapy to do that. But still, every day you do have to go off and correct your thoughts when you're walking into situations and just assuming it's going to feel hard or it's going to be bad. The best thing you will ever do, and I had to teach myself this because I was brought up to be a mouse. I was brought up to be seen and not heard. You know, when I was 2 or 3, my mum went out to work nights, so I had to sleep when she slept. I literally had to be quiet. You know what I mean? So I had to train myself to speak up. And I will be the one now that walks into a shop, and instead of feeling like a shoplifter like I used to do, I used to walk into a shop and think, oh, I don't know if I dare pick anything up, or, you know, I'm the only one in here that all eyes are on me kind of thing. What will they think I'm doing? Do I dare put my hand in my pocket, or is that going to look like I'm putting something in there? That is how I used to function in this world before having hypnotherapy for myself. And you know, and now I walk into a shop and I'll be the one to open my mouth and make somebody feel comfortable or make somebody feel seen. You know, I'll say something to the person that's behind the counter as I walk in, you know, or I'll make a joke of something or whatever, because that's your superpower, is opening up your mouth and sharing something. Whenever you feel uncomfortable, just find something that you can say, get that icebreaker, get something going. You know, that really is your biggest power. And that's one of my biggest tips for self-esteem, is to not prejudge anything. Don't assume that the way somebody looks or the way somebody that sounds means they are superior to you in any way. And you know, I'll tell you something that I know for fact is that if you've had a terrible upbringing, a terrible background, loads of trauma, you know, I know people don't like to hear that it makes you stronger, but it really does give you this emotional variety and empathy, and it is a superpower in a sense. I know that's tough to hear, but I would far rather be me with my experiences and the terrible things that's happened to me than be somebody who had it all on a plate growing up, that never knew hardship, that never knew failure. Because there's people out there in the world like that who on the surface look like they've got it all going on, like the actress Blake Lively, if you're following the current drama with all of that, looks on the surface like she's got it all going on, but I tell you for sure that girl will have no self-esteem. She always needs people around her to be fixing it or saying yes, and that's because she wasn't brought up with any real form of struggle. Her parents paved the way for her, things were paid for, or it was facilitated for her, so she's never known somebody say no or reject her or any of that. But that builds up no emotional resilience whatsoever. If you've known a lot of trauma and a lot of failure, in order to still be here on this planet and standing on your own 2 feet, you've had to build an awful lot of emotional resilience. And no matter how bad you feel, I promise you that you are stronger than you will ever truly know because of what you've gone through. And I would far rather be one of those people with those experiences than I would have been somebody who's had the whole life the way paved for them, because you literally just do not know where you stand, because when everybody else goes away and you lose that support structure, you're basically nothing. You're a shell. You're just a shell who has to start over and learn how to be a human being in a way, you know, without that security. You've had a lot of trauma and lost a lot and things like that. You've had to learn how to be very independent, very resilient, even if you don't feel it, even if you feel like every day you get up and the whole day is like a wobble. You know, I'm telling you, you really don't know how strong you are, because some of the people I've dealt with in my practice, the things I've heard, I mean, I thought my own life was bad enough, but the things I've heard, you wouldn't believe that people had managed to just keep going and not seriously harm themselves, because there's really serious stuff out there. And that's what I always say about my clients too, that I'm always completely in awe of some of the stories I hear, and that they're still there, still wanting to be helped, still trying, you know, and all of that. And one of the biggest things is always comes back to this idea of self-esteem, and never assuming that you are less than somebody else because of the way you look, because of the way you dress, because of the way you talk, any of those things. Because you could have the poshest, richest, wealthiest trust baby in front of you, and you will have more self-esteem than them, believe it or not. It's very, very true. All right, I hope that was helpful. And what I would suggest as well is, in all of my videos, if you look in the description box, there's always plenty of free resources. I do have a free hypnosis audio, free Facebook group where there's a hypnotherapy workshop that you can take part in. I do free discovery calls if you're interested in having treatment with me, and there's so much help over on my website, including a depression and anxiety masterclass. So in every video of mine, if you check the description box, there will be links to access that free help. So please do take advantage of that. And like I say, please do consider liking and subscribing. I'm all about making you feel good enough on this channel, and bringing in stories of my own as well, and just helping elevate you wherever possibly I can. And thank you very much for watching and sticking with me. I'll see you again another time. Bye bye.